Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. This is the 1443rd day of continuous webinar conducted by International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy. Today, our guest is Dr. Amit Sahani. Let us begin the session with 1 minute silent prayer. International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy comprises of homeopathic lovers, students, and homeopathic doctors. And we have 3 sessions every day from 7:30 to 8:30. The Hindi session already just over, and from 8:30 to 9:30, the international session in English, and 9:30 to 10:30, local language session in Malayalam. And we have more than 65 countries participated in these sessions, and every day these sessions are going in a good way. And we have a wonderful guest from Dr. Sahani's family, that is Dr. AMIT Sahani. Sir has completed his MD and now working as the professor, Department of Repertory and RBTS Government Homeopathic Medical College Hospital, Muzaffar, Bihar, and was born in the illustrious family of Dr. B. Sahani and Dr. M.K. Sahani from Bihar. He graduated homeopathy from prestigious National Institute of Homeopathy. He has completed his PG in repertory from GD Memorial Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, and later did PhD from M.K. Bhuvangar University. He is the author of Conspectors, a widely followed book by PG students, and Dr. Amit is presently the head of the Department of Repertory, RBTS Government Homeopathic Medical College Hospital, Muzaffar, Bihar, and is associated with many homeopathic associations like IHMA, Liga, Homeopathic Science Congress, and is also associated with, is the present General Secretary of HMAI Bihar branch, and is associated with the club like Rotary International and YMCA. Dr. Hamis is one of the resource person for many seminars nationally as well as internationally. He has published many books and has won very important awards from different part, and from that is from Cancer Institute of Homeopathy in National Seminar on Cancer and Homeopathy in Darjeeling, and Best Teacher Award in 14 and 16 December and 2019. And he is one of the lecturer. He has made different lectures on different forums, and I am not mentioning about all those things, and was a regular presenter in our IFPH or in both the Hindi as well as English session. All the sessions were brilliant, and Doctor will be talking about a very important subject today, that is EVACUVANT, that is VERATRUM album. As we know that it is a wonderful remedy for cholera and all those things, but there are different aspects or this VERATRUM album. So let us see how doctor described this medicine here. Welcome, doctor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me to this forum. I thank you and the IFPH forum for inviting me and giving me chance always to give my lecture presentations. So we can begin our lecture, sir. Today our topic is, I'll be talking on the medicines VERATRUM album. Now, I will say it's not a very popular medicine of our Materia Medica, but still, it has got a lot of aspects which I'll be talking about today. So let me start with the yes, presentations first. Sir, is my screen visible to you, sir?
No, sir, it is not shared. Please
Okay.
reshare.
Okay, sir. So is it now visible,
Yes.
sir?
Yes, yes. Now it is visible.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So
yes, fine.
So we are talking of the medicine VERATRUM album today, and I have given it the title of EVACUVANT. Now, so that the reason for the same is it can be traced to the writings of Dr. Hahnemann first, and let us go to the writings of Dr. Hahnemann, where he has given it that written writing. In the lesser writings, he has given one article by the name of the Heliborism in Medicine. And he talks about how before the Hahnemann time, before the homeopathic use of the VERATRUM album, how it was used in the times of Dr. Hippocrates, by Dr. Galen, and the later physicians, how this plant was used. So he talks about the evacuant properties in this article, Heliborism in Medicine, in the lesser writing. How this plant VERATRUM album, the white hellebore, it was used for exciting the vomiting, for exciting the evacuation process in the body, and the purpose of doing this was to clean the system. So before we begin with it, and we already know a lot about this medicine. So the basic aspect of this medicine, the theme of this medicine remains that it maintains the balance of the life. Now, so although the process of evacuation, if it goes on constantly, it will lead to a lot of imbalance. So the basic theme of this medicine is to maintain balance. The basic theme of life is to maintain balance, and where it can maintain evacuate the toxicity and still maintain the balance of the life. So lives being surrounded by variety of both favorable and inimical nature of substance of toxicities are present at any moment of the time. So with getting increased, they have to be expelled to maintain a normal state. Evacuations of toxicity are natural excretory provision, but with getting increased, they have to be expelled anyway. Life has to take the drastic step for evacuation. This forcible step sometimes become unmanageable, and it seems that life has lost its control of speed and becomes out of gear. This brings involuntary functioning with lost control. Life losing its control, things becomes unpredictable in which day it will move. So it is very necessary to maintain the balance of the life, and so that the toxicity is eliminated, but the balance is not disturbed. This uncontrollable evacuation process poses a risk for the life, or poses a risk to the balance of the system, and it can become posed to be an insane way in which it can be related to insanity. With this unmanageable state, life has to ultimately surrender. So if this evacuation goes on and on, if this evacuation goes on in an uncontrolled process, then ultimately it will happen that there will be no life. Maybe the life will surrender to death, and this has not to be the way. It has to go on in such a way that the balance is created. Before we go on to the description of the plant and the biological aspect of this medicine and the way it was used in the history of the medicine, I would just like to quote one small poem which I have just I had read in the book of Master Key of the Homeopathic Materia Medica by Dr. J.N. Kanjilal. He has mentioned one poem, one small poem to describe this medicine VERATRUM album. He says, "Ki cold, cold everywhere, and not a hope to leave." So with this one line, he tries, Dr. Kanjilali has tried to describe this medicine, VERATRUM, where he says ki it is all about coldness. It is all about the exhaustion. It is all about the evacuation and without any hope to live. So that one thing, this one thing summarizes this medicine. This one thing summarizes the medicine Veratrum album. And now let us move on to the description of this medicine and the prehistoric use of the medicine. So hellebore states are madness leading to life being poisoned. So the helleborism in medicine, which I had quoted earlier, or the article from Dr. Hahnemann in the lesser writing, it says that it was used for the purpose of evacuating. It was used for the purpose of excreting. And since it was repeatedly used, the condition which was created because of that was known as helleborism. So our plant kingdoms have several hellebores which have contributed to the change of the state of the life with new rays of hope where it seems to be a rebirth. So we have got a number of medicines which belong to this family of hellebores, and all of them have some medicinal properties, and they have contributed significantly to the change of the disease situation. Medical records are full of such instances where these plants were used both as panacea as well as poison. So this medicine has been used as a medicine. This plant has been used as a medicine, also has been used as a poison. Now, so Alexander the Great, it is said that he was poisoned by white hellebore, which we know as the Veratrum album. Madness and evacuation finds extension to be used as medicinal substance, which has been experienced by mankind during the development of civilization in a different way. So this madness, this evacuation, going on to the extent that it becomes a disease, has affected the civilization, and it has posed a threat of a different kind. The Veratrum album or white hellebore was considered to be one of the most important medicinal plant in the prehistoric Greece. So the Greek medicine has a lot of instances where we see where we will see this medicine white hellebore being used as a medicine and for the treatment of number of conditions. Both the white and the black variations of the hellebore were thought to be sacred herbs of the god, as noted by the Greek philosopher Theophrastus, who is also considered as mentor to the philosophers Aristotle and Plato. So it was considered as a sacred herb. It was considered as very pious and to be used to be used as a great reliever in the cases of different disease conditions. It has been speculated that the name hellebore, it stands for the food of the heli. And this heli refers to the Pelagician goddess who was the namesake for the Hellespont. So as per the fable, it goes that this medicine was used as a food for that goddess, and who helped in. Now coming to the medicine Veratrum album, the botanical aspect of the medicine, it belongs to the Veratrum species. So most of the plant of the Veratrum genus belongs to the family Melanthaceae. Veratrum chenidioideae belongs to the family Liliaceae. Rhizome and root of Veratrum album, that is white hellebore, and rhizome of Veratrum viridi, that is green hellebore, are being used for the preparation of the medicine. Coming to the component, the chemical component of these medicines, they contain many alkaloids, including hypotensive ester alkaloids and germine. Veratrum calcifornicum contains the alkaloids cyclopamine, cycloposine, and germine. Veratrum alkaloids, they have the property to increase the permeability of the neuronal sodium channels, causing them to fire continuously. So what happens is that the increased stimulation of the vagal nerve results in the Bizold-Jarzak reflex, causing hypotension, bradycardia, and apnea. Purified formulations of Veratrum alkaloids were also used at one time as antihypertensive drugs, but now their use has become obsolete because of other reasons. So we see that one of the major alkaloids in all the veratrum species is gervine, which has got a significant hypotensive property. Among the major toxic symptoms of veratrum alkaloids are vomiting, hypotension, and bradycardia. And since they instigate vomiting, since they instigate this evacuation, and so this vomiting leading to hypotension and bradycardia, it can be related physiologically as well. The botanical classification of this plant, Veratrum album. So it belongs to the family kingdom of Plantae, and where the family order is Liliaceae, and the family is Melanthaceae, and genus Veratrum, and species Veratrum album. And so evacuation. Uncontrolled evacuation may be dangerous to life, but evacuation is also regarded as essential, one of the essential parameters for cure. So elimination of toxicity will occur through this evacuation process, and elimination of toxicity will lead to the cure. So evacuation is also considered as one of the important elements of cure. So especially in the homeopathic literatures, especially in a number of homeopathic literatures, we will see that it is being talked of that the removal of the toxicity through the evacuation process is one of the first step towards instigating cure in the patient. So coming to the plant, the white hellebore is a herbaceous plant that grows up to approximately 4 to 5 feet tall. It has a fleshy stalk that is round, straight, and rather thick, with broad, ovate, continuous alternate leaves. The plant flowers between June and August with green or white blooms. One can propagate the plant with seeds, its shoots, or the segments of the rhizome. The entire plant contains steroids and steroid-like alkaloids. The alkaloid content varies considerably depending on the altitude and the location. The white hellebore may be found easily throughout all of Eurasia. In particular, it may be found over the Scandinavia, Central Asia, Alps, Finland, Siberia, North America, and the Pyrenees mountain of the Southwest Europe. The mountain range that forms a natural border between France and Spain. In Switzerland, the plant is indigenous to the Jura Mountains. So basically, a non-indigenous plant, it has got its origin. It has got its origin in the European countries, but it is also found in India as well. Coming to the traditional uses of this medicine, of this plant, the primary intake method when using this white hellebore is in the form of a snuff. Since this plant induces sneezing, the German name is Niewurz, which means the sneezing root. So one of the element of evacuation is through the sneezing, and this German name of the plant it is considered as the sneezing root because it induces sneezing. As soon as one snuffs this plant, the powder of this plant, it induces sneezing, and this sneezing powder was believed in ancient times to purge the demons of illness from the body, and to remove it kills the demons, it removes the demons of the illness from the body, and that is why this powder was used to induce the sneezing. It is still used in the present day, although its composition has become less pure throughout time, since now it is most commonly mixed into a type of herbal blend snuff known as Snow Mountain, which has long been used to bring on the feeling of euphoria. So it also brings on the feeling of the euphoria, and that is also one of the traditional uses of this medicine. Now, smoking this mixture of white hellebore have long-standing history in the Native American Indian culture. They remain an essential ritualistic element still used today in the Native American ceremonies, including shamanic healing, festivals, tribal council meetings, treaty ratification summits, and visionary journeys. So one of the important components of all these types of meetings, festivals, was taking using this white hellebore as a smoking mixture. The Flathead Indians Also, they called this white hellebore by the name of cysticeo, which roots its word from the sneeze, and thus indicates that the powdered root as a snuff was used to induce sneezing. Doing so, using this white hellebore as a sneezing mixture, as a sneezing powder, the intent is to clear the respiratory tract of the illness and the disease. The shamanic use of the note is chewing of small pieces of the rhizome and spitting the resulting component, which will be used to clear the passage, the respiratory passage, and thus induce cleaning it. It is said that the Celts used white hellebore for psychoactive purposes in the form of a mythical drink associated with the Celtic mother goddess of Cerediven. She was believed to know the secret of the concoction, which would lead only those brave enough to partake into the state of true inspiration and complete absolute knowledge. It was said that anyone who imbibed this drink attained enlightenment and was able to experience the past, present, and future simultaneously as one. It is thought that the cauldron of Cerediven contained the mass of barley, acorns, honey, bull's blood, herbs like ivy, that is Hydera helix, white hellebore, and laurel, that is Laurus nobilis. So that was the component of this secret component, which was said to be the secret mythical drink of this goddess of Cerediven, and it was used to induce a sense of enlightenment to the person who took this drink. Coming to the history of ancient Rome and Greece, this white hellebore was used as a medicine to treat a variety of ailments, most commonly those of psychological nature. This medicine use also had a strong ritual aspect to it. A patient was to prepare for taking the decoction of white hellebore for 7 days prior to the treatment by eating spicy foods and abstaining from drinking wine for 3 days. So this was the preparation of the patient who was ascribed this medicine of white hellebore. So before taking the medicine, it was advised to the patient that he would eat something spicy for previous 7 days and abstain from drinking wine for the previous 3 days. So after abstaining from wine for the previous 3 days, on the 4th day, they were made to vomit. And on the day just before embarking on the treatment, they abstained from food absolutely. After this, the patient took the white hellebore medicine and would again vomit for about 4 hours. The entire treatment took approximately 7 hours. It was believed by the ancient people that this treatment healed epilepsy, dizziness, melancholy, insanity, demonic possessions, leprosy, tremors, and gout, among many other ailments. So this is the in this treatment using the white hellebore that is also mentioned in the lesser writings of Dr. Hahnemann, where in his article Helleborism in Medicine, and even he has mentioned in this article that even Dr. Hippocrates, he used this white hellebore plant, this Veratrum album plant, for inducing vomiting, for inducing this process of evacuation. But it is said that Hippocrates used it before preparing that patient, and the preparing means giving this spicy food for 7 days before, abstaining from wine, and then from 4th day they were made to vomit, and then they would be given white hellebore, which would further evacuate, which would further induce vomiting for some hours, to ultimately cleanse the patient, to ultimately cleanse the body of the patient. The old Germanic lore describes the use of the root to induce abortion. So this white hellebore, this Veratrum album, was also used as an abortifacient medicine in the old Germanic medicine. The ancient Persia, which we now know as presently as Iran, this fresh white hellebore root was ground into moist paste and then applied topically as a salve to relieve headache and neuralgia. So even it was used as an external application in the ancient Iran for the treatment of the headache and the neuralgic pain. Ointments, poultices, washings containing white hellebore extract were used externally to treat scabies, lice, psoriasis, and other skin diseases. The root powder was ingested to treat depression, asthma, paralysis, rheumatism, and fever. So we have a whole list of external and internal application of this medicine for treatment of a number of ailments, which and the basic theme still remains the cleansing. So it was used as an external medication. It was used as an internal medication for a number of ailments that mankind suffered in the yesteryears. Coming to the homeopathic aspect, the homeopathic literature is related to the white hellebore or veratrum album. The article that I was referring to in his Helleborism of Ancients, Hahnemann has showed that veratrum album was the principal agent used at Anticyra and other places in Greece to produce evacuation, which was regarded as an essential for cure. Spring was deemed to be the most favorable season and autumn as the next season. So the most favorable condition when this white hellebore was expected to be used or to give more favorable result was spring, followed by the autumn season. Among the diseases in which the treatment was employed were mental derangements, epilepsy, spasm of the facial muscles, hydrophobia, nihilism of the pancreas, diseases of the spleens, goiter, and hidden cancers and others, and which we know from the testaments of Hahnemann as has quoted in the Materia Medica Pura in the regarding this medicine. Hahnemann says in the Materia Medica Pura that veratrum that it has the power to promote cure of almost 1/3 of the insane in the lunatic asylums. At all events, as homeopathic intermediate remedy. So Dr. Hahnemann has said that the veratrum was used to, without this, we would have failed to cure almost 1/3 of the lunatic patients, the insane patients. Dr. Kent has seconded it. He has said that equal number of women who, especially the women subject, the female subjects suffering from this insanity, now arising out of the different events arising from the female menstrual cycle, can be cured by using this veratrum album. One of the symptoms taken by Hahnemann from grading this is he swallows his own excrement, which Gallon has verified. A child had a craze for eating his own feces or dung lying on the street. Thrice daily, was cured in a month. So we see of it from the literatures of Dr. Hahnemann. The mania of veratrum may be exalted kind, religious or sexual. So it is a state of chaos. It is a state of conflict in veratrum, so which results in the state of mania. On June 26, 1812, Dr. Hahnemann presented a Latin thesis entitled A Medical Historical Dissertation on the Helleborism of the Ancients. His thesis was very thoroughly examined, and the historical literatures were sought to differentiate between the ancient use of the Helleborus niger or the black hellebore and the medicinal uses of the white hellebore. Botanically, we know it as the veratrum album, both of which are poisonous plants. Bradford and Thomas Lindsley, in his Life and Letters of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, published at Philadelphia by Borick and Tafel, and Richard Hale and Wheeler and Mary L. and Grundy from WHR, and John Henry Clark, Francis James Wheeler from Samuel Hahnemann, his life and work published from London by the Homeopathic Publishing, have also seconded this literature, has seconded this dissertation, and advocated the effect of the white hellebore and black hellebore both as medicines. Veratrum album as the cholera epidemic, as a medicine for the cholera epidemic. Dr. Hahnemann described that in 1831, the use of the camphora, Cuprum metallicum, and Veratrum album were used as genus epidemicus for the prevention and treatment of the epidemic of the Asiatic cholera in the German era. So Dr. Hahnemann has given of the three medicines which were used as genus epidemicus in the German area for the treatment of the Asiatic cholera. In other literatures in 1830 and 1831, the cholera epidemic in the Vienna, and out of he has documented that out of 1270 patients treated with homeopathy, only 108 died. On the other hand, he says that the allopathic mortality rate was 60 to 70%, which is quite low when using this medicine in the cholera epidemic. Now he says only 108 patients died. Homeopathy was also used in the 1854 epidemic in the London once again with significant reduction in the mortality rates. In 1854-55, in the cholera epidemic, Dr. Rubini, he has documented that 225 cases in the Albigre and 166 soldiers of the Swiss regiments without a single case of death has been reported by Dr. Rubini. In the book of Dr. Nass, the prescribers, he has described this Veratrum album as, he has described one word, he has used one word to describe this Veratrum album, and that is collapse. Collapse with general coldness and cold sweat, especially on the forehead. The Hippocratic face, a triangular face, Hippocratic face, a mania with desire to cut and tear things, with lewdness, lascivious talks, religious or amorous, disposed to silence, but if irritated, gets mad, scolds, calls names, and talks of faults of others. Rice water stool, profuse and exhausting, cramps in the calves, coldness and collapse. Then he has also talked of this medicine for its use in the rheumatic affections, which gets aggravated in the damp weather, which drives the patient out of bed. The pain described about these medicines are the pains are maddening, driving the patient to delirium. The delirious headache, the delirious pain are all related to these medicines. Copiousness of the discharge, excesses of stools, vomiting, urine, saliva, sweat, craving for acids or refreshing things are some of the important symptoms which have been described in the Nass leaders regarding this medicine. And all of this correlate to the general theme of evacuation, which it has been used since a long time. Now coming to the mental features of this medicine, one of the top features in the childhood is precocity, the child acting more mature than his age. Children who pose as intellectuals, and serious children asking a lot of questions, maybe philosophical questions. So they will have a lot of questions which is much beyond their years, much beyond their age. So the mental features of the Veratrum album is a result of mental overstimulation, overactivity, and restlessness, which may also be related to the hyperactivity of the mind. So it is an overstimulated mind, which leads it into a state of maybe mania and madness. One of the characteristic mental feature of Veratrum is also ambition, and it is said that in the Materia Medicas that it will use every possible means to achieve his goal. So he will use all possible means to achieve his goal. Now he may be dictatorial, he may be flattering. So he may use all the ways that will lead to his goal. So some of the rubrics which are related to the mental symptoms of this Veratrum album is boasting, wishes to be considered as rich. I was going through one of the articles where an old employee on the verge of his retirement, he didn't want to show to the world that he has lost his position, and he was he behaved as if he was still in his previous position before getting retired, and he used to keep a lot of servants. He used to be pompous. He used to be squandering money just to show off that he was still rich, and that is the desire to be appreciated. That is the desire to be appreciated. So the theme behind this boasting, behind this squandering, behind this flattering, and getting sympathy is that he wants to be considered as someone. He wants to be considered. He wants to be considered. So this is one of the important theme of this VERATRUM personality, is that they have the fear of losing their position, and they do not want, and they will try every means. They will try every means to keep that position intact. They will waste a lot of money, and they will boast as if they are someone great, and so they will use all these means to prevent this internal insecurity, and avoiding this internal insecurity and gaining their position. He fears about his position in the society, as I said. So, and to maintain that position, he will be hard on subordinates and agreeable to his superiors or the people he has to fear. One of the characteristic features of Lycopodium as well. And his contemptuous. It is the VERATRUM is also there in the rubrics contemptuous. So egotism is one of the another characteristics of this VERATRUM mind, and egotism to the extent that he will spare nobody, no lies, and cheats and misleads to reach his goal. So he will spare nobody. He in his ego. It is also mentioned under the rubrics untruthful, gossiping, no sense of honor, and never speaks the truth. So he will use all the means. He will use all the means to satisfy his ego, to satisfy his way of reaching his goals. Disposed to talk of fault of others or silence, but if irritated, scolding and calling by names. So this is because the VERATRUM mind, it is very much arrogant, haughty, and a sense of righteousness is there, that they cannot be wrong. They cannot be wrong. And that is why they always have this fault finding tendency, and they consider others at fault, and finding faults in others, and getting irritated. Coming to the religious delusions of this medicine, one of the highly rated symptoms of this VERATRUM album in number of Materia Medicas. So this religious delusion, or the mania that we can say, it arises from the megalomania and confusion about his own identity. They have the delusion that they are the God or someone who are appointed by God to convert other people. So VERATRUM album, the evolution of the VERATRUM personality is through the frustration of the aspirations and depressions. So they had high goals. They had used every means to achieve that goal, but ultimately, at the loss of the goals, they have to suffer from this frustrations, which leads to this feeling of indifference and forsaken feeling. And as a resort to this failure, they flee into the religion. They take resort into the religion, and they turn violent. So it is described under all these symptoms: indifference, forsaken feeling, religious mania, violence, ailments from injured pride or honor. Again, going back to the literatures of Dr. Kanjilal and Dr. Nass and other Materia Medicas, you'll see two of the most characteristic symptoms about this medicine is coldness and violence. Coldness and violence. These are two of the most characteristic symptoms that describes the theme of the VERATRUM album in these Materia Medicas. And we can understand that evacuation, it produces coldness, It has produced it can produce coldness, and the violence, how it comes up, we can understand the evolution of the violence in the veratrum personality. So the veratrum album, which evolves from the insanity, has the characteristic mental features in the religious mania, taking resort to praying always, prattling, striking, and loquacity. So all of them in their extremes, which characterize the violence of these symptoms. Mania, religious, not only simply religious, but the religious insanity, religious mania is there. So striking, it again expresses the violence of this medicine. Loquacity, it is expressing the talkative nature in the higher degree. So it is all about the intensity of the symptoms. It is all about the violence, showing the violence in the symptoms. Veratrum album has a very strong symptoms, which is described in the different Mitra Medicas as mania with desire to cut and tear everything, especially the clothes, with lewd and lascivious talks or religious or amorous talks. So it is a state of conflict, and a state of conflict between the religion and this moral and intellectual, moral and this lascivious nature, this religious nature. So it is a state of conflict, and which results in this desire to cut and tear everything. So a state of conflict resulting in this desire to cut and tear everything. Coming to the physical characteristics of this medicine. So as I said, coldness is one of the characteristic, one of the chief characteristic of this symptom. So it is a medicine for tremendous chilliness, one of the most chilly remedies of our Materia Medica, and are characterized for local coldness. It has been said in the NAS Materia Medica that there is a lump of ice on the head, and maybe also in the abdomen also, and also for the general coldness. So this cold feeling can be expressed in the different parts of the body. Cold feeling in the blood vessels, cold feeling in the bones, or sensation of heat in the blood vessels. There is cold perspiration, especially on the forehead. So another characteristic physical feature of this Veratrum album is aggravation of the complaints before and after menses. Sorry, aggravation before menses. So all the complaints of the patient, they are aggravated before this menses. As I said in the introductory notes, the characteristic season for it is the spring and the autumn season, and especially the digestive upsets which happen in the spring season. It is a very good remedy for it. We have a number of diarrhea cases and cholera cases, especially of the summer diarrhea, being treated by this Veratrum album. Another characteristic feature is the intense thirst. Now, since I said everything is intense, the violence, so this intensity of the thirst is also very high. And then the collapse, sudden sinking of the strength. So this is also one of the characteristic features. So indicated in the cases where there is sudden sinking of the strength, leading to a death-like situation, maybe a state of collapse, shock conditions. So Veratrum album can be one of the good medicines for such situations. Evacuations lead to cramps and spasm. So Veratrum album acts very good in cases of spasm and the cramps of the muscles. Then excessive evacuations, cold feeling in the blood vessels, attacks of the pain which leads to a delirious condition, and a delirium from headache. The desires is for the acid fruit, salty things, and cold drinks, wants everything cold. The particular symptoms are vomiting and diarrhea, vertigo and cold sweat on the forehead, accompanied with vomiting and diarrhea, dysmenorrhea, coldness and prostrations accompanied with vomiting and diarrhea. The modalities of this medicine, it is worse from exertion, drinking cold drinks during pain, fright, wet cold, least motion, before and during menses, during stool, when perspiring, change of weather, cloudy weather, after drinking and during pain. Better by hot drinks, walking about, covering, lying, pressure on the vertex, amulets the headache, warm foods and stimulants, they act as betterments. As for the desires and aversions in the food and drinks, they have aversion for the warm food, for the breakfast, cooked food and hot food. Desire is for acid foods, cold drinks, fruits, ice, refreshing things, salty things, sour food, cold food, cucumbers, herrings, sardines, ice creams, juicy things, lemons, liquids, pickles, and wines. And the aggravating factors are fruits again, cold food, pears, potatoes, raw food, beans and peas, beer, buckwheat, cabbage, cold drinks, fat, flatulent food, hot food, pancakes, sauerkraut, tea, veal, vegetables, and warm food. And better by hot food and cold drinks, milk and warm drinks. So coming to the nucleus of this medicine, it is characterized by excessive restlessness, both at the mental and the physical level. Ambition, they are very ambitious and they will use every possible means to achieve their goals. Chilliness is one of the characteristic feature of this medicine. And so it can be a local coldness or can be a general coldness, and a coldness over the head, over the abdomen, or maybe general coldness. Excessive evacuation, which is the characteristic of this medicine. So maybe watery stools, maybe cold sweats. So all sorts of evacuations can be induced by these medicines. And craving for sour fruit, salty things, and cold drinks. So these are some of the important characteristic symptoms of this medicines, which we can summarize for this medicine VERATRUM album. Coming back to the leaders of homeopathic therapeutics by Dr. Nass. So he says that if we were to describe one word in general condition as near as possible for which this remedy was best, it would be collapse. So if we can describe this medicine in one word, so the best word for this would be collapse. Let me quote: rapid sinking of the vital forces, rapid sinking of the forces, complete prostration, cold sweat and cold breath, skin blue, purple, cold, wrinkled, remaining in fold when pinched, hypocritic face, and nose pointed. So this is the expression of the VERATRUM album medicine as described in the leaders by Dr. Nass. Now to summarize, to end with this presentation, I'll just again come up with a line from Sarah Raven, where she says ki no winter or spring garden is complete without the hellebores. They keep us cheerful in February and tempt us into the garden. So hellebores, they are medicines for the evacuations, medicines for the extreme prostrations and the coldness situations. We have seen it as a medicines for diarrhea and cholera. So with this, I'll say I'll end my presentations and thank you. And thank you, sir. But before we go into the questions, I'll just describe one of the cases from this regarding this medicine. Sir, can I talk of one case from this medicine?
Yes.
So we have time, sir.
Yes, then we can just 9 minutes remaining.
Okay, sir. A small case, sir. A small case.
Yes.
So it was I saw a case of 8-year-old child. 8-year-old child. I may have described this case previously also when I was discussing about the single medicine rubrics. So this is a case of a male child where he had complained of barking cough, and he was not at all, he would remain in bed. He was so much restless. How much the mother tried to keep this child in bed, he would not respond. He would always move out. And but he had a lot of cough, and he was very much this barking cough was there. And but when we looked at the child, it didn't look as if he was having any complaints, he was having any problem with this coughing, or the complaint that he was having. And but the mother said ki there was irritations in between the coughing, and at the same time the boy was not wanting to be covered. He kicked off the covers. He removed the covers, and uh, uh, and uh, and he also didn't like anything to drink. The thirst was also very much less. So when we took this the repatriation sheet, the repatrial rubrics. So we took 7 rubrics for that patient, and it was wanting to get out of bed. So the rubrics was mind, bed, want to get out of bed. Cheerful, chill during. The second rubric was mind, cheerful, chill during. And the third rubrics was indifference during chill. And then fourth was barking cough accompanied by irritations. And so since he used to irritate between the cough, then the rubrics we had taken for this was cough, barking accompanied by irritations. And then general covers aggravate. Now, water, food and drinks, general food and drinks, it was water aversion. And then weather, cloudy weather aggravate. And the medicine, it came up to be a VERATRUM album. The rubrics which, apart from the general rubrics, the rubrics which favored VERATRUM album here was the restlessness, the desire to get out of bed. So only 11 medicines were there in this rubrics, and VERATRUM album was one of them. And that nature of irritating between cough was only one medicine was there, VERATRUM album. So here also we see a single medicine rubrics, although it covers the ये क्या कहते हैं कि many other rubrics and supports the totality of the symptoms. The totality is being supported and pointing towards VERATRUM. So we went for VERATRUM album for this patient. This VERATRUM album was prescribed in 0/1 potency, and within 2 days we saw that the barking cough of the patient it started ameliorating, and the patient was finally cured after 3 days. So this was just one small case, an acute case of this VERATRUM album, where we can show that the restlessness of the patient, the restlessness leads to this VERATRUM album medicine. So with this, I'll say once again, I'll say thank you, sir. And if questions are there, sir, please, I'll be very happy to answer.
Yes, sir. It's really a very good session indeed. And you've shown the beauty of this VERATRUM album by all respects. What will be the symptoms and what are the things to be looked, and how it ever come into the picture of homeopathy, and how it works during the time of cholera. And all those things were described in a beautiful. What are the signs and symptoms of this particular disease, and how, not the disease, but the same VERATRUM album, why it is called EVACUVANT, and all the questions were answered brilliantly by you. And in the even in the short case itself, you show how the symptoms evolved into VERATRUM album in the end. Anyway, congratulations for such a beautiful presentation in this session. And since only just 3 minutes remaining, anyway, I invite some of the participants to have a question with Dr. MP Sinha sir is there waiting for you. Yes, sir. Please talk, sir. Dr. MP Sinha, can talk now, sir.
Yes, sir. And very nice performance. big example of
It's something. Your network may be weak, sir.
Network problems.
Okay. Now invite Dr. Ramparisa, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dhaneji, or congratulations, Dr. Amit Sahani.
Thank you, sir.
Very good presentation, excellent session. VERATRUM album medicine. Describe the medicine. VERATRUM album sign symptom. VERATRUM album of history. Describe the history of VERATRUM album. So very thank Dr. Amit Sahani.
Thank you, sir.
And VERATRUM album Mithilanchal flood area prevention of cholera.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Every year during rainy season, prevention of cholera, VERATRUM is the good remedy. And religious mania, many kinds of symptoms described the VERATRUM album. VERATRUM album, a kind of Mirt Sanjeevani medicine, just like differential carbovage, cuprometalcum, etc., arsenic. So very thanks, Dr. Amit Sahani. Very
Thank you,
good
sir.
presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
You rightly said, sir, during the time of flood, since Bihar is having flood this time also, so this medicine is a boon for this type of situations where cholera and other things are very much rampant during this situation. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Now I invite Dr. Bob Lim to say a vote of thanks to the session. Dr. Bob. Hello. So, since the time is about to finish, I invite Dr. Mariamma John to say a vote of thanks to the session.
It was a nice presentation. On behalf of IFPH and on behalf of me, I thank Doctor. Please come with another section. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Very thanks. Very good presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Mariamma John. Tomorrow we will have a session from another doctor, Dr. Mridul Murali Krishna, MBBS, DNB, and he's a consultant, a family physician, and he will be talking about hepatic encephalopathy. That's also a very good subject. With that, we come to the end of the day, 1443. Thank you, Dr. Amit Sahani, once again, and thank you all for participating in this session. We can meet tomorrow at the same time, and those who want to watch again and again this program, you can watch it searching YouTube at IFPH Homeopathy. Thank you all. Good night.